So just taking a look at guys in the NFL who have had an ACL injury and then follow up with like a hamstring or ankle injury. It's very common when you come back early and you don't train that mobility, that stability, ensuring that they're ready to go and be able to deal with the pain and the hits, the physicality of playing football. So we look at Saquon Barkley and you look at Odell Beckham. It's kind of tough because with Saquon's injury and the way it looks, it may be simply it may be a high ankle sprain. Just because the way it looked like it could have been a knee, but maybe a knee and a ankle injury, but it looks like more or less a high ankle sprain from the way it was it was trapped under the guy's foot, the way the knee bends. Which is why really important when you train and come back, you train for mobility and stability, ensuring that your ankle is able to deal with. And Saquon's was an unusual position. His body was pretty much in the sideways U, versus Odell's. I didn't necessarily see what was going on, but he did say he had an ankle injury. What happens is your muscles typically overcompensate in areas where it lacks. So if your knee, say you have an ACL injury, your knee is weak, your hamstring, your ankle are going to overcompensate for your knee being weak and going through that recovery period. I think that's kind of what's happening with Odell. And I talked about this a million times with Odell Beckham. Odell's biggest problem, the reason why he gets injured, is because he doesn't have one personal trainer. He hops from personal trainer, social media trainers, and he doesn't stay with one person that's going to help him get his body right. Now, what I mean by that is this. It's okay to have, if you have, for example, someone your chiropractor, a masseuse, or whatever that works on your body in different ways because they're specialists in certain areas. And taking care of your body is important. But developing a relationship with somebody, developing a relationship with somebody who's knowledgeable in the area, knowledgeable in the space, is advancing their learning consistently, and focuses, on functional longevity versus immediate recovery is a big difference. Immediate recovery is how do I get back to the point where I'm able to explode, be faster, jump higher, as close as what I used to, versus long-term functionality is how do I get my body to be functional for a long period of time with durability, injury prevention, etc. So, are we training ourselves to be train yourself to be a weapon, but also am I training myself to avoid injury? And a lot of these injuries that we see come from, and Saquon's was just an anomaly. As a running back, you're going to get that. It sucks because he's in the contract year. I hope he gets the opportunity to come back. I'm sure him having a history of ankle injuries, it's not going to be a good look. Got to be a good look on his contract situation. But when a guy comes back from an ACL injury or any type of injury, it's important that they train for mobility. They train for functionality for long term. Injury prevention, durability, as opposed to how do I get to be back to the weapon that I was. So I think this is something they'll take a look at, and Odell Beckham should take a look at right now, immediately, as well. And we all know the Baltimore Ravens trading staff has a history of guys going down. Right now, you have Adafi Alway down. You have J.K. Dobbins out, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams. Now Odell Beckham, Lamar Jackson the past 2 years. When you talk about just being injured, the Ravens have been plagued by this for the past 2 or 3 years, and this is something that I think has to be fixed. They have to find a new way to do something in Baltimore, and of course Saquon, it was just an outlier. It may be just an individual person getting injured, but injury prevention is so much more important than getting back to the weapon that you used to.